What's going on, guys? Broken Stoic here. If you care what I think, you clicked on the video. If you don't, it is what it is. I wanted to make a video about this, and then I kind of decided not to. And every time I've gone live, a lot of people are coming into my stream and they're asking, what's your opinion on this? And are you going to play? Or are you going to stream there? And I really think that we came to kind of a point where I need to make a video. That way I can refer people here in the event they are curious what my plans are, so that my streams don't become entirely about, whether or not or how I feel about this or that. And I'm going to say overall, I think that Daybreak Games making their very own multi-class solo-friendly server is a big win. It's a good thing. I think that it at least shows that there's some movement. They've acknowledged the benefit of this. I think these are really overall, could speak to some of the things that they're going to do in the future. That being said, this could be a good testing grounds for what people have an appetite for, what they're willing to pay for, and that might be exactly what Daybreak is looking to get out of this. I'm a little sad about things like the words fan-driven passion project, as there were other people who were doing the same thing as a fan-driven passion project. And I feel as though if this situation was handled much differently, it could possibly be, it could be different. I'll say that. I don't want to throw too much shade anywhere, but it is what it is. Some of my other concerns in here is, EQ Legends will not be free to play. The game will have an upfront fee and will operate with a subscription model. We believe the pricing will be at a lower end of most players' expectations. We will provide more details soon. And then there's little bits in there about microtransactions and XP pots and transmogs, or whatever you want to call them. Basically, making your armor look like it's something else. I have to wonder if there's going to be bags. I have to wonder if there's going to be mounts. I have to wonder, what other little things are they going to sprinkle in there? I worry because I feel as though they may have missed the mark of what actually made THJ and the community be what it was, and have it grow and flourish and be what it is. And it really comes from a place of, compelled payments and feeling like you're being drained or squeezed more. Like, no offense, but there's already a lot here. You're asking people to pay all this money up front, and then you're doing weird things like saying, how do Karens differ from Vashir in classic EverQuest? And your answer is, you'll have to play and find out. You're asking for all this upfront money and you're not going to tell me exactly like what is what? I have to give you money to get answers to pretty simple questions about simple mechanics in the game. I don't know. It doesn't leave a particularly great taste in my mouth, and it also doesn't scream like this is headed in a great direction. I don't know. Like, is this the use? Like, this reminds me way too much of like the government when they're like, oh, in order to pass, or in order to know what's inside of this bill, you have to pass the bill and then we'll tell you what's in it. And it's like, no, that's not the way any of this is supposed to work. Box price, subscription price, potentially compelling or behavior-based microtransactions. I'm talking about XP potions. And, we're not going to tell you how it differs. You need to play the game in order to find out. I don't know. Just seems weird. This isn't a new game. It's kind of a reimagining of another idea. And I played Classless, and I played... I didn't play Secret's other game there, Unchained. But what I'll say is Classless was very different than THJ. And actually, this is shaping up to look a lot differently than THJ as well. While it is multi-classes, it's multi-classed in a very different way. They're saying, at least right now, that there's not going to be 3 pets for 3 pet classes being mixed together. I mean, it is what it is. Like, we're going into this, or a lot of people are going into this thinking like this is going to be a clone, or this is going to be somehow mirrored of the hero's journey. But it's nothing has really supported that. And I don't even think, I mean, obviously they're not going to say that out loud, but I think people are going into this expecting one thing, and I think you're going to get delivered another thing. And I think that if they do not make that very clear to people up front, this is going to hit a giant brick wall. You can't create a dynamic where you're like, you come in and you're like, yeah, I've been dreaming of this for 20 years. I'm talking about David Yousefi and his statement to the press. And, I've been dreaming about this. I've been talking about this. Secrets did create Classless, which was a absolutely amazing server for about 3 weeks. Secrets, unfortunately, like in that particular moment had a lot going on in their life and be it here, there, or anywhere, you'd log in, you'd create your character, you'd play the game, you'd achieve a bunch of stuff. The next day you'd log in and everything was gone, because they had completely reset the server. You'd play for 2 days, same thing, same outcome. Like, the patched, all the character files were gone. You had to restart, and that happened for like the first 2-3 weeks. Eventually, you got to the point where you were sick of it, and a lot of people quit. It actually had some decent momentum initially, and then kind of slid out of control. That being said, it was a really great concept, and I think that some of those same philosophies and some of those same things, if they're allowed to happen, and if they occur in this particular situation with EverQuest Legends, I think there's some good there. Definitely some things to check out. And I just really hope that people understand that this isn't going to be the hero's journey. This isn't the same thing. This isn't even necessarily it is a triple class easier, but it is not in the same context or the same creation or the same situation as the hero's journey, and a lot of the same mechanisms that existed. For instance, I heard somebody was asking a question about AA points, and people would stop at level 30. Do you even know if you're going to be able to stop, or you're going to be able to start AAing pre-level 50 here? I haven't heard or seen anything out there that makes me think that you can, but people are kind of assuming because in the previous iteration you could. So I just think that these are all questions that people should be asking and people should be looking at when looking at this as an overall project. It's its own thing. And so while there may be some type of remnants or some type of ideas that get taken from that, it's not necessarily mirrored. And it's not all bad. Frankly, the races and classes can be swapped in major cities, meaning you can swap your build on the fly as long as you level up these other classes, because there's a really weird, I don't know if it's good or bad. I could see where the situation could get very muddy, but I also see where there could be a benefit that if you put the time in and you level these classes up, you can actually tweak your character around based on however you want to do once you've put enough time into it. I think this has a few different effects, and I think that it can both be good and be bad, because the problem with allowing a persona system for your 3 classes is that you can jostle yourself up to the max level with your 3 classes that you picked, and then once you've done that, you're basically you've basically played the game. You can take all your items, you can take all the things that you had from leveling up there, you can persona one of your classes or 2 of your classes down, and then you can level those classes back up using the gear that you got when you got to max level. Now, yes, you could absolutely do that on THJ. However, you had to recreate a whole new character. You had to gear that character. You had to level those items up. There was a system in place that essentially funneled currency and items into other characters, and thus that constant integration of items and money being added to the market was being sifted out into these Lord knows I had like 3 accounts, and all 3 accounts were full of characters, and all 3 accounts that had characters were fully geared. So it was just, if that's me alone. Now, granted, I'm an extreme, but you need to think about things like that. Like, how am I going to process these things? Because otherwise, especially in a like power fantasy situation, gear and money are going to flow like water, and they're going to flow in a way that is going to be unexpected. You're not going to be able to flip a switch and just fix it, because the stuff is already in the game. Hopefully this stuff gets worked out during the beta process, but if it doesn't, it'll get messy quick. I know I said that was a good thing, and I do think it's actually a good thing. I do think there's some bonuses there. The persona system and like allowing classes to switch, I think that's going to give a lot of people a lot of playability. People who especially can't play much will get more out of it. But again, in the model of subscription, box price, microtransactions, I just don't see the longevity of why play more than a month or why play more than 2 months, unless there's going to be a very quick scaling of content that's provided. Will zones be instanced? I mean, yeah, all zones can be instanced. Dungeons and raid bosses will be instanced. Great. Awesome. Is it on a timer? Is it a 24-hour timer? Is it a 13-hour timer? Is it a 8-hour timer? I think these are things to be asked. Again, THJ had a 13-hour timer, basically allowing you or preventing you from doing the same thing. You technically could do it twice in the same day if you timed it correctly, but it just, these things matter, because again, loot being put into the system, into circulation, as well as how frequently you can do them, doesn't necessarily mean that should be as frequently as you should be doing them to be healthy as a person. Things to look out for. Difficulty appears to increase XP and loot. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I actually really like this. And I got to commend Secrets and Rogean for this one, because I do think that something that THJ never did well was scaling up for people. They had some items that they had in the game that basically, like, if you killed Saru or you killed Sleeper or you killed Zabuxaruk, you would receive additional bonuses. If you killed, technically if you killed anything, it rolled for a chance to roll additional items. You'd get potentially more things. However, in practice, it often didn't scale correctly, and then the items that it would drop would sometimes be really weird because of the mechanism and the calculation that was used. It just never really came into fruition. So even though I ran a 6-man group and we all played together and we did all kinds of things, we actually, back when Classic was the thing, we would group 6 people together and we'd run around Plane of Hate and we'd just kill everything, getting bonus XP and, bonus loot and everything as a way to level up our AAs faster. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I actually think that is a really cool thing, cool mechanism, and I give them props for implementing that. I hope that it comes out as good as it sounds. Player housing will be in. Oh my god, with a chance of guild housing coming eventually. You know me, you know that I love my player housing. Let me tell you what. I think this is great. This is good. Player housing is really good. You can actually implement awards and different items in the game as a result of achievements or other things, and you can have them put in your house or your guild house. This is great. This is a good way of creating sort of a collection system. Collection system can give people an extra goal outside of the normal leveling, AA, gearing, cycle. Spot on. Some things you might want to pay attention to, okay? There is a Q&A question that really, crawled under my skin and wriggled around a little bit. Can I rent or own my own server and invite anyone I want to it? Their answer was not no. Their answer was not at this time. That is a pretty open-ended answer. which leads me to believe that mayhaps this could be a testing ground of potential license renting, selling, server hosting situation that maybe legitimizes emulators. I think that could be really cool and possibly a really awesome thing for the community, not only the emulator community, but just everybody, players in general. I think that, frankly, I think that this project actually should have existed in that space. If you could have taken down one less played server and thrown up this server and added it to the station pass and thrown it into the cycle, take Chrono out of it. I don't know, I guess you'd have to take it out of the cycle then. The unfortunate thing is yeah, Chrono's only going to ruin what you have here. And I think leaving Chrono out is also another really big advantage to the server. But I think that if they were to bring it under the infrastructure of maybe it's an emulated server system. So you log into Daybreak and then you click a button, which would roll you over into another login server. And then that other login server could possibly have all these emulated servers that are receiving licensing through Daybreak. And then they could set up their own monetization. It doesn't matter because their agreement with Daybreak could be something as simple as, I agree to pay Daybreak X amount of dollars on a monthly basis for my right to host a server through Daybreak or Everquest, whatever my emulator is. Then, in addition to that, if I exceed X amount of players, I agree that my number or the amount that I pay you goes up. So if I have 400 players, I pay you X price. If I have 800 players, I pay you Y price. If I have 1,200 players, I pay you another price, and so on and so forth, with possibilities of bigger deals based upon, how many people are paying for microtransactions or other things that may be involved in the server. Allowing these servers to control those microcosms and having the money go directly into like almost like an escrowed account, you could theoretically not only have Daybreak make money, but these other people could be making money, and all of that money could be funneled into a greater pool, which could support something like a new EverQuest project that Daybreak themselves could build. Who knows? Just thinking out loud here. Sorry. Let's see here. So much of the community is pretty excited, I would say, about, EverQuest Next, which I think is really important. I think that's really good. I do think that there's a fair amount of people also questioning the whole passion project, and some people are seeing it as another way to kind of milk the community for more money because it is aggressively priced out. Even if you charge $5 to play the server and then you do a $5 subscription with microtransactions in there, it's just not going to feel right. And I don't know is that you were going to come up with an amount that's going to feel right. A lot of people just signed off as soon as they heard the word subscription in the first place, and then you're tacking on like a box price on top of that. I probably could have done that differently and found the same amount of money, just sold it in a different way. It just doesn't feel right, especially when passion project and things like that are labeled all over this. People are tired of subscriptions in general. People are sick and tired of paying Netflix. People are sick and tired of paying Hulu and all these other subscription plans. And goddamn, you need a subscription to run your freaking vacuum cleaner these days. And people are tired of it. So it's one of those things where I think, unfortunately, the subscription model is being pushed further and further off. And gaming, it gets even harder to rationalize because it's even if we're willing to pay the $15 a month in microtransactions into the game, we aren't necessarily willing to just sign our credit card up to automatically pay $15 a month because we're doing it so many different ways and so many different places. It just feels messy. Oh, yes. There is a lot of people very upset in their Discord about the XP pots and things. There's a couple of posts in there where people are just relentlessly posting back and forth. XP pots, I think that, it's a bit of an odd situation because Secrets has spoken pretty openly about, not including power in these types of things, but XP pots get you levels quicker, which gets you further along in the economy, which gets you additional items, and then you can market those items out. It's a solo game, but it doesn't have to play solo. There's grouping, there's raiding, other things. The more people you have and the more difficulty you set up, the more benefits you're getting. So if you have a group of 4 people, because a group is 4, you have a group of 4 people, they're all running XP pots, they're leveling really fast, getting the top stuff really fast. Yes, they will theoretically burn to the end quicker, but they're also going to be putting out items and things like that, which, beware, this is also how you promote a black market RMT system. I digress. It gets messy. Let's see. Yeah, and then there's more stuff behind the scenes, and I don't really want to get too deep into some of this stuff. I've been purposely trying to avoid this because it's messy. THJ got sued in June of 2025. Game John got built in July of 2025. The Everquest Legends website was updated and made live in November of 2025. So it's very strange, and it appears that there's if you follow the dates on this, and I've researched this to nauseum, there's a lot going on behind this. But if you look at the dates, there's some really weird things that make me think that this may have been cooking for a while. And not only was it cooking for a while, but it appears that maybe some of the players involved might have misled and might have put some people in some bad positions that had wide ripple effects of, just a lot of negativity, a lot of drama, a lot of nonsense. If you're interested in looking into that stuff, it's all over the internet. Go Google greengrocer, go Google any of the comments and things. You can look up the business licenses for some of these things. You can look up the domain dates. It's messy. But anyway, I love you. Will I be playing it? I don't know. I honestly have no opinion at this point. It's pre-beta. We don't really know a whole hell of a lot about it. I'll see what happens, and then I'll make that call as time comes on. There's a lot of other projects that are either launching. There's Pantheon that's resetting. There's Scars of Honor, Drooling Online Adventures, obviously Hallowed Oath. There's another one that we just broke into called Eternal Tombs. There's so many games that are on the forefront that I just don't know. We will see as time goes on. We'll see what this lands into, and then we'll kind of go from there. Either way, love you. Appreciate you sitting here listening to me yap for 23 minutes, maybe less, maybe more. Depends on when I edit this. Love you all. Hope you have a good one. Take it easy.